Welcome to Sacred Sundays. I'm Ashley, and thank you for joining me for episode 4. This week, I wanted to share something that I've noticed coming up recently. So many people I'm having conversations with are experiencing anxiety, some depression, and others are just feeling overwhelmed by life. And maybe that's where you find yourself today, too. And if it is, I hope this episode gives you a different way of looking at what you might be experiencing. When I was 19, I actually went through a long period of anxiety. It lasted about 2.5 years and it was severe. It was almost panic attacks every day in some stages. And looking back now, I realized that the hardest part wasn't the anxiety itself. It was the not understanding why it was happening. It was that lack of clarity. I didn't know where it had come from and what was causing it. I didn't know how to stop it. And more than anything, I certainly didn't realize that it was trying to teach me something. And that's what I'd love to explore with you today. I was out walking last year when this analogy came to me. And I want you to just for a moment imagine your entire life as one long walk. The moment you're born, you set off with this empty backpack, and we all arrive here carrying nothing. And as you walk through life, rocks and stones begin to fall onto your path. Some are small and others are enormous. And you stop and you pick them up, you feel the weight of them. And instead of simply just placing them to the side so you can continue your walk, you place them inside your backpack and then you keep on walking. And at first, the extra weight isn't too noticeable. You tell yourself that you'll be okay and you'll just keep on going and you're going to just push through. And how many of us have said those words before? So we continue walking, and maybe now and again we stop for a rest. Maybe we take a holiday. We learn to distract ourselves for a little while. But eventually, we have to stand back up and we put the backpack on again. And all of this weight is still there. And these rocks can represent so many different things. They may represent childhood experiences, traumas that we've faced. Maybe for you, you experience a lot of rejection. Maybe you hold on to a lot of shame and guilt and fear. Or perhaps a lot of grief that you still hold on to and you've never fully released. And others have experienced abuse, whether that's physical, emotional, verbal abuse. All these things create beliefs, feeling like we're not good enough. We have beliefs that we need to prove our value and our worth. We have fears around failing because we were taught that that was unsafe. Maybe for you, you fear being judged, or you have a belief that the world isn't a safe place. And the longer we walk, the heavier this backpack becomes. And eventually, there becomes a point where we simply can't carry it anymore. And this is where life will bring us to our knees. These are the rock bottom moments, these are the tower moments. And sometimes it shows up as anxiety, for others, it's depression or just simply burnout. And even for some, it shows up as illness. Have you ever noticed that after working nonstop for weeks, maybe you've encountered a lot of stress, your body suddenly gets a cold or a flu? It's almost as if your body is saying, please slow down. And I believe anxiety and depression and overwhelm can often work in a very similar way, not as something that's against us, it's not there to punish us, but as something that's trying to get our attention. When you think about it, when we disconnect from our true essence, our soulful self, our true self, is calling us back, trying to get our attention. And often the only way that we look up and we notice these things is through pain and suffering. Now, it's not always the route to change and transformation. We can actively do the work. However, when we're not paying attention and we are just pushing through, there's only one way that our attention is going to be drawn back within. Because when anxiety appears, our natural instinct is usually to make anxiety disappear. We fight it or we'll just try and avoid it. We do this by distracting ourselves and we just want the feeling gone. It's like catching a virus. We could spend all day treating the symptoms or we could treat the virus itself. And once the virus begins to heal, the symptoms naturally begin to disappear. And I see anxiety in much of the same way. Very often, it's just a symptom of something deeper asking to be seen. And not everyone experiences anxiety for the same reasons, but many of us carry this emotional weight that we've never truly processed. So, anxiety isn't actually the problem, it's acting as a messenger. And this is why I believe that inner work is so important, not because we need to try and fix ourselves constantly, but because we're learning how to empty that backpack. We're learning how to acknowledge what we've been carrying so we can process it, so we can release it, and we can start replacing those old beliefs with healthier ones. Find safety within ourselves instead of searching for it in the outside world. How often do we look for a situation to change or a person to come and save us? This is exactly why I created Sacred Sundays. Every month we come together, and it's not to dwell on pain, it's to understand it, it's to become curious and look at it from a new perspective, release it, and we do this by reconnecting with ourselves. And these sessions are never heavy. We always release that energy that we've been holding on to, but we call in something lighter, more elevated. And we leave with this more empowered perception of the world and ourselves. So for me, the aim is for anyone who attends to leave feeling lighter, clearer, and more certain than when they first arrived. Remove all those doubts, remove all that dread and negativity that often many of us are carrying around with us. And one thing I have realized is that you can't force someone to do the inner work. And we can love people and support them and even encourage them. But healing only truly begins when someone's ready. Too often we try and force people into going on this journey, but it usually happens when someone is going through a hard time, when the weight is so unbearable that they have to look inwards. And for others, it happens in different ways. Sometimes it can happen through achievement. They get the thing that they thought was going to bring them all the happiness and joy and fulfillment, but when they get it, they still feel this emptiness within them. So everyone is on their own different journey, their own timing. We can't force people into doing this work. And I've spoke a lot about anxiety today, and anxiety is something I truly understand deeply. Not only because I've lived through it myself, but I've really reflected on what moved the needle for me when it comes to no longer living from that state of fear. And it's also why at the moment I'm working to put together a 1-day retreat entirely dedicated to an understanding anxiety. Not just a way to just cope with it, not just to push through and get by, but truly guiding people into understanding what it might be trying to tell them. And also learning how to build that inner stability from within. And I'll be sharing more about that very soon. So this week, I'd love to leave you with one question. What have you been carrying in your backpack? And what weight have you been holding that no longer belongs to you? And for you, just take a moment to reflect on this. It could just simply be a lot of negative beliefs that you've been holding about yourself, around your worth, your value, your likability, that you're not lovable. Whatever it is that shows up for you, just take this moment to reflect. For others, it could be simply the need to control everything around you because you don't feel that safety within yourself. Whatever it is, maybe today is the day that you begin putting one of those rocks down. And I'm coming back to this backpack analogy again because when I think about healing, it's not about reaching the end of the walk and completing all the inner work. It's continuous. We are always evolving. We are always facing new challenges. It's more about learning how to enjoy the journey with a lighter backpack. So I'll leave it here for today, and let's just end by doing a short meditation together on this energy. Get yourself into a comfortable position and close your eyes. And take a deep breath in through your nose and gently exhale through your mouth. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Now allow your shoulders to soften and clench any tension in your hands. And just with every breath, allow yourself to become a little more present. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to imagine yourself standing at the beginning of this beautiful path. And the air is calm. It stretches out before you, surrounded by nature. And there's nowhere else you need to be except here. And as you begin to walk, you notice a backpack resting on your shoulders. And you've been carrying it for so long that you've almost forgotten that it's there. But today, you've become aware of its weight. And with each step, you can feel the heaviness. And And I want you to just take a moment to ask yourself, what have I been carrying that no longer belongs to me? And simply just notice whatever arises for you, the first thing that comes to mind. Now, I want you to visualize you slowly take off this backpack and you notice a beautiful spot, peaceful and quiet, to take a break. And as you unzip the backpack, you see the thing that you've been carrying. And I want you to just imagine it take the form of a rock. And I want you to pick it up with your hands and just notice its weight, how long you've been carrying this for. How's it shaped you and the way that you've walked through life, and maybe how's it held you back? How has it influenced the choices that you've made? I also want you to just recognize all the lessons that it's taught you. What wisdom has it brought? And how has it helped shape the person that you've become? And then I want you to just take a deep breath in. And when you're ready, I want you to visualize placing this rock beside the path and recognize the purpose that it's fulfilled, but you no longer need to carry it with you. And as you lift the backpack back onto your shoulders, notice how different this feels. Notice the space and the lightness. And as you take a few slow steps forward, your body feels freer, your breath feels deeper, and walking no longer feels like such hard work. And as you continue along the path, you realize something, that by no longer carrying this weight, you feel freer. You feel like you can show up to be more authentically you, more peaceful. And I want you to just take a deep breath in and breathe out. And as you return back into your body, back into this moment, recognize how it feels showing up as this freer version of you. And when you feel ready, bring your awareness back into your body. And you can slowly open your eyes. Thank you for joining me for this episode. If you'd like to experience this work in person, I'll be hosting another session on the 26th of July. These podcast episodes are intentionally kept short and focused, and my intention is to give you one clear message to take away while also offering you a simple Sunday ritual. I love hearing what resonated with you, so please feel free to share your thoughts and reflections. And until next time, have a great day, everyone.